Good day, it's Althea from the Bible in 1 year. Today we spent time in 2 Kings 3, digging trenches. King Jehoram was the son of Ahab and Jezebel, the worst king and queen the northern kingdom of Israel ever knew. Jehoram did better than his parents by putting away the sacred pillar of Baal his father made, but God still regarded him as a bad king, because he too made Israel sin with the worship of a false god, a golden calf his father made, to substitute the true God, as we read in 1 Kings 12, verse 28 to 30. King Jehoshaphat was a godly king, doing right in the sight of the Lord, as we read in 1 Kings 22, verse 43. However, he did not remove the high places for idol worshipping, and he allowed the people to worship there. King Mesha of Moab, a sheep breeder, saw an opportunity to escape from the taxation forced upon them by Ahab, the king of Israel, when King Ahab died. For many years, the tribes of Israel struggled with conflict among each other and was separated from each other. But now Jehoram, king of Israel, and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, were willing to fight together against Moab, as we read in verse 7 of chapter 3. Jehoshaphat asked the king of Edom to fight with them against Moab. They went through the desert to attack Moab, but could not find water. In verse 10, Jehoram said, "We are doomed, for the Lord has called these 3 kings to be handed over to Moab." Although he did not worship God, he recognized there is a God, and his own sins convinced him God's judgment was on them. While Jehoram avoided God, Jehoshaphat, on the other hand, seeked to inquire the Lord. All 3 kings went to Elijah to inquire of the Lord. In verse 13, Elijah is angry because of King Jehoram, who do not worship the true God, but for the sake of King Jehoshaphat, Elijah is willing to help. In his spirit he is fighting against the wicked and the good. Therefore, in verse 15, Elijah asked a musician to play while he made fervent prayers to inquire of the Lord. John Trapp says, the way to be filled with the Spirit is to edify ourselves by psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Elijah answers with God's plan, saying in verse 17 to 18, "This is a simple thing in the sight of the Lord. You need to dig trenches, and God will supernaturally supply water and hand over the Moabites to you." Imagine this. They traveled 7 days through the desert with no water, and now must dig trenches in a very dry, hot desert. Nothing to look forward to. There is a lesson to be learned here. Even if things are tough, you still need to prepare for God's blessing. God will provide according to your expectation, according to the number of ditches you are willing to dig. You need to get ready for His blessing. Listening to Him brings anticipation. God will not ask something you are not able to do. David Cusick says, "Act with the strength you have, but with the expectation you have asked." The miracle lies with God. Obedience requires faith. In verse 20 and 22 we read, "The next morning, miraculously, the trenches filled with water. When the Moabites got up early, the sun shone on the water, and the Moabites saw the water across from them as red as blood. They thought the 3 kings have killed one another, and they could only run and plunder the dead soldiers. But the Israelites rose and struck the Moabites." This blessing from God was threefold. 1, to quench the need. Secondly, to confuse the enemy. And thirdly, bring victory. May you trust God's answer for the challenges in your life, even if it does not make sense. Trust that He knows what He is doing and that He is actively involved in your everyday life. Be blessed. Goodbye.